Hey guys, we just had a really interesting conversation with UK's #1 paddle player, Christian Medina Murphy. And there's so much to learn from this interview. We talked about his own paddle career and his own paddle training and what it's like to train as a top professional paddle player. We also talked about what it's like to play on the tour and the travel schedule. Some really crazy stories that he shared with us. We also got into the boycott, and Christian did a really nice job of unpacking what's the issue for the players, especially issues for guys at the top of the tour and some of the lower ranked players, and what's the difference for both. We also talked about the development of the sport of paddle, especially in the UK, and what he's seeing and what we're noticing in paddle of what's going on in the UK and also in Europe and all across the world. Overall, there's so much to learn, and there's so many interesting things that we got into. So we think you're really gonna enjoy. Watch and let us know. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Paddle Pulse podcast, powered by TSH Padel. We're lucky because we have a very special guest with us here today.
Yes, we do.
And he's making some time so we can get to learn more about the paddle world and the paddle tour. Let me give a brief intro of our guest. The current British world number one, currently ranked number 104 in the world. The first UK player to reach the quarterfinal of a premier paddle event in the P2 of Cancun. FIP champion in both Stratford and in Cairo, amongst others. And bronze medal in the Junior World Championships in Mexico 2015. Reached the quarterfinals of the World Cup as well in 2016. And ladies and gentlemen, Christian Medina Murphy with us here today. Welcome, Christian, to the pod.
Thanks. Good intro,
Yeah. Well, you're making some waves, Christian, so we're really happy that you take some time to speak with us today.
Yeah.
Maybe let's just start off. For those who don't know you, Christian, how did your paddle journey begin?
Well, like during the day, in a normal day,
Or start off from the very beginning. How did you get to start as a paddle player?
Okay, yeah. Well, I born in London, in Kingston, but I moved to Spain, to the south of Spain, to Cadiz when I was really young, maybe 3-4 months old. That's why I don't speak really good English. I can speak, but not like a British with British accent. And when I was around 14, 15, I started playing padel there in Jerez, in a little town of Cadiz. And yeah, well, in Spain, it's typical to play padel. It's really famous. You can find clubs and courts in all the places. I played tennis a little bit before. I do triathlon and athletics. And when I started to play padel with 14, 15, I improved quite quick. And then I decided to go full to this sport, and that's how I start to play.
That's awesome. And a lot of players, Christian, are actually transitioning from tennis to paddle. What was it like, that transition to go from tennis to paddle? And you've made it now to the top echelon of the game.
Yeah, at the beginning it's tough. Obviously, it's different with the glasses. The sport is completely different. I think paddle is so much tactic. In tennis, is more technique. And yeah, but obviously it's easier to jump from tennis than from nothing. And I moved when I was with 14 to paddle, and was quite quick.
Yeah. And when did you decide that you're going to go all in on paddle and that you could actually do this at a professional level?
I think I decided to try my best and do like full-time paddle player when I have my first contract with a brand called Cartri, a Spanish and Portugal brand. And I decided to start to train and try where I can go.
Before that, you didn't think you could do it professionally?
Yeah, before that was only to make fun, to play with my friends and in my club, and yeah, not professional.
Really? Okay, how interesting. And how has the journey been so far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask because obviously the level in Spain is obviously the highest level of paddle in the world. We know the best players come out of Spain, but how high is the level even at the local like the local level inside the clubs?
Yeah, it's really really high in compared to other countries. Like maybe you can come here to Alicante to Cadiz, and you play in maybe second, third category, and obviously maybe it's gonna be top 20, top 30 of the all the country in other in maybe in I don't know in UK or something like that. Like
Yeah.
you have massive here. Like a lot of players was playing for the last 20 years, and you have a lot of players of high level.
So can you say there may be like many players who can play professionally, but for example, don't have a sponsor, don't have contracts, can't go and travel to different tournaments? The level so if that was available to more players in Spain, we would probably have much more players from that region excelling on the international stage.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much players in that position because if you think like 3 years ago the circuit was only in Spain, the World Pile Tour was only in Spain
Yeah,
and
yeah,
was really easy to play. I think it's going to be now a new problem for the new players, obviously, to follow maybe the Premier Padel to follow in a lot of countries with a lot of cost. But
yeah,
I think it's a new problem of paddle. But if you think about it, in tennis, it's the same problem. If you don't have funding, if you don't have good sponsor, you cannot follow the tour, or it's really tough to do it.
yeah.
And I think now in paddle is gonna happen because the tour now is tough to follow without funding.
Yeah. Well, how was that journey? Has the journey been like so far? Because now we know you are among the top. You're in the top tier. You're within the top 100, just around there. So you, obviously, more sponsors. Probably you have access to more tournaments. You can get into more tournaments. We just saw how you were playing in the P2 in Cancun. You're playing in the P1s now. Um, but how was the journey like in the beginning? So in FIPs, would you have to would you have to travel? Do you have any specific stories on where you would go, like how you would go to different FIP tournaments to moving up the rankings? How was that like?
Well, that is all the people when I post in Instagram. I'm in I don't know Chile or in Mexico, playing FIPS. All my friends, oh, you have so lucky to be there, and it's not always lucky because sometimes it's terrible. Like we go to FIPS with not too much prize money, and
Yeah.
we're still doing like because now in I do some main draw in the last tournaments, but I start in quali always in the P2, P1, and in the majors. And sometimes you have to choose a FIP tournament in front of a Premier Padel because you think is better option to get points and to grow a little bit more on the ranking. And the FIP tournaments they are tough because you play in clubs. Basically, you play in clubs, and some clubs are good, and some clubs are not that good. The courts
Yeah.
are maybe so quick, so slow. The rough is not too much high. You play with no outside game. It's tough. You go in not really good condition, like you stay in a hotel not really good, or because you cannot spend too much money because you travel nearly all the weekends. We are playing now minimum 3 tournaments per month, and if you go to
Yeah.
all the tournaments with a good hotel, the best flight, or and all the best food, eating restaurant, the funding is going to end, and sometimes it's tough, but finally is our job. And in some tournaments you're gonna be in bad condition, and you try to earn the position to play after that in main draws in Premier Padel, and that is amazing.
Is there any specific FIP tournament that was the most tough or most challenging for you to adapt to, or was a rough experience?
I have so many. I have so many.
Give us some.
I
We
have-
want to
Give
hear.
us some.
We want to know.
I have so many.
Oh,
Well, at the,
Because to many, Christian, you're looking like, it looks like you're living the dream.
Yeah.
You're a professional paddle player.
yeah. I remember when I started to play World Padel Tour 5-6 years ago, I tried to survive, and I was paying the hotels with maybe 8 beds in the same room and staying with people you don't know who they are.
Like a hostel.
Yeah, that's hostels or travel here in Spain in BlaBlaCar, sharing cost and all the stuff. But in FIP, for an example, the last year we played 3 tournaments in a row in 2 weeks. Was so tough because we fly from Madrid to Sao Paulo, like it's around 10-11 hours by plane. After that, we play in Camboriú, it's a little town of Brazil. You have to go in bus after the flight 12 hours.
Oh, wow.
After that, we play the tournament. We lost in semifinal, and we play 5 days after that in Mexico, in Saltillo. And the problem was so expensive to travel straight away to Saltillo from Sao Paulo. And finally, we get the option to go back to Madrid and go straight away to Mexico. And we travel like 64 hours for that tournament.
Wow.
Oh my God. You
Crazy.
went back to Madrid just to go to Mexico.
That's it. We do.
Oh my God.
We do Camboriú, Sao Paulo, 12 hours by bus during the night. After that, the plane to Madrid, another 11 hours. After that, we fly straight away to Mexico, another 13 hours. After that, we get another flight to Monterrey, because it was the city close to Saltillo. And after that, a bus of 3 hours.
Oh my God.
That's rough.
That was
And then you're supposed to play paddle at the highest level.
Yeah.
After all that.
Yeah, imagine. And after that,
That's insane.
we play another tournament in Sardinia in Italy, and we lost in quarterfinal, in semifinal. I don't remember, in Saltillo. I think in quarterfinal, and we do the same. Saltillo, Monterrey,
Oh my
Monterrey,
God.
Mexico, Mexico, Madrid, Madrid, La Palma, La Palma, Italy. Like
Oh my God.
Oh, man.
And
crazy.
this is the journey of the world number one. Sorry, and the British number one since 2019. So this is not just some person that is just a professional. This is the top of the top. Like this is, and it's that's rough.
Yeah, you have to you know it's good tournament to go, good opportunity to get points, but the connection sometimes is so tough. But you have to do it. It's part of the job.
Has it improved now, or is it still tough? Like, obviously it's still tough. Being on tour is something no one knows unless they do it, and we don't know. But is it easier now, or is it still tough?
Depends of how you want to do it. And I explained this. Finally, you have so many tournaments, and if you want to play the tournaments, they are in different points of the world because you think it's good option. You have to do it like that. Tour was at the end of the last year, was 6 months ago, not too much. And now I'm gonna play in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur. And in the week after that, I can go to Mexico, I can go to Hong Kong, I can go to, I think it's another one in Chipre, another one in Spain. If you think, imagine if I have a bonus of my brand and they give me something to go to top 100, and now I'm 104, and I think, oh man, I have to go to Mexico and I have to go to the one in Hong Kong. You have to do it. Like, it's no chance. You cannot choose. Like, is what you have to do.
Yeah. Christian, also, you would know this better than me, but the FIP tournaments, sometimes they don't announce. They're not all announced. Like, you can't decide what your entire calendar year is going to look like, right? You have to wait and see, because sometimes there are new tournaments that pop up. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, I think that is one of the things we are trying to improve, putting a little bit of pressure in the FIP, because the organization of the tour is not that good. Obviously, you see all the tournaments in the website, but sometimes you think, okay, I'm going to play this one, and 3-4 weeks before the tournament, they told you, no, finally this one is not going to happen, or they add another new tournament. You cannot plan with the flights and the hotel 3 months before the tournament, because now it's like you never know.
Yeah. Well, we want to get into that in a bit later to what's going on with paddle, but we want to talk about some of your accomplishments so far and get your thoughts on. You're someone who has played against, so you've played against the best of the best. You played against FIP players, obviously Premier Paddle players. But first off, I want to ask, because I think maybe was it you would categorize the best week of your career in Cancun, or not?
Well, Cancun was
Or the biggest accomplishment?
Yeah, obviously, if you see the result, it's my best one. But I think it's better result for me the one in Chile, because it was with all the players. In Cancun was a different situation, because all of this about the boycott. If you, we can speak after about that. And obviously, it's not the same to have that result with all the players than do that with not all the players.
But still, you had to win the matches. You should be happy with your result, because it's at the end of the day, we were watching the tournaments. It was high level paddle being played, so you can't take much away from yourself. Credit to you.
It is well done. That was still a good. It was still a great result.
It is history. You're all writing history, and that's a big achievement. And we're amazed by it, and you should be very proud of it. I think it's an amazing thing.
Definitely was a really good tournament, because we beat two really good players, like in they are playing at high level, and obviously was really good result.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Santiago, you said that was a tournament you enjoyed more. You went on to face Garrido and Dineno, correct? So that was playing against the top 10 team. They considered some of the best of the best. How was that, facing those two guys in Santiago?
Yeah, it's always extra motivation to play against the top players in the world, because you know you're gonna see the best level. Like you're gonna play against the top, and you want to see how far you are, or what you need to improve to beat that guys. And it was a really good experience. So always is a pleasure to play against them. And if you want to know what is the difference between all these top players between the rest, I think is the ability to choose the correct option in the important moments. If you see, if I get one of my friend and he never see paddle, and he see that match, he say, "Oh, you are quite close, no? It's 6-3, 6-4, and they are pair number 5 on the wall." Because you cannot see that much different outside of the court. But if you know about paddle, you can see that little different things, and it's really, really tough to improve, I think. But like you can feel you are close, but always these type of players, they choose the correct option in the important moments, and that make the difference. And that's why we train and we play and we compete, because we want to improve that little things in the game.
So from what you're saying, the difference is just it's the decision making in the important moments.
Yeah, I think that is the big difference. Obviously, Garrido has amazing smash. Dineno has amazing volley to volley, good volleys, good control of the direction. But if you told me what is the big difference, is that is choose the correct option in the important moments.
Yeah. Can you be more specific about that, Christian? Because, like, can you give us an example of what that might be?
Imagine you have in the game, to explain a little bit, it's like you play the points, and you are trying to find the moment to win the points. Like if I'm on the defense, I have to do a proper return to don't let Dineno or Garrido to make an amazing volley, and then they play normal volley, and they are waiting, and they are waiting to have an easy ball to close the point, and I am waiting my opportunity to take out the net and go to the attack position, no? And in that moment when you have the option to do, I don't know, chiquita or quick lob or high lob. Garrido has amazing smash. You have to choose really high lob or quick lob or put a high lob to his backhand volley or this little decision when you have an easy ball. We are good players, obviously. We normally we make the correct option, but in the important moments, again, the tough players, you can see they have one more point in that. Like if you say, okay, the correct option is a quick lob, Garrido is waiting that shot. You know, it's like he go a little bit in front of you in that decisions, and that make the difference, I think.
That's a very good point. So, but you've, which I don't know if this is, if you've already answered this question in that regard, but so you played against the premier padel players, the highest level of premier padel players, against the FIP level players. Is the difference when you go down, for example, to let's say the FIP level players, which you've won many tournaments in that level, is it also your decision making is better than theirs, or when we get to the FIP level, it can be more of a technical thing?
Yeah, I think obviously it's like I told you before, it's both stuff. Obviously, we have really good quality and really good rhythm of the game. Like we can play fast and we play like quite comfortable if you compare to the FIP level, but we have that point in the correct decision always better than the FIP level. Obviously, now padel is in a moment that we are all pushing hard. 10 years ago, only was easy to go to high level because they wasn't, I think, that much professional players. But now we are all the players really professional, and it's really tight. The level is really tight. If you go to a FIP tournament, for an example, Nacho Moragues and Marc Sintes, the pair they beat us in Cancun. They was playing only FIPs, and in the last 3 FIPs they beat Deus brother, their main draw pair. They beat us. They beat us. They beat Álvaro Cepero and Loco Torres, and they are FIP pair. Like, you know, it's all really tight. It's all really tight, but obviously is a difference between that pairs and us between the main pairs.
Yeah. Well, you also, so you talked about how the game has evolved in a way, and these younger players are coming up. And what do you see is different between your generation, the younger generation, and the generation ahead of you? Is there a different style of how you guys play, or do you think it's similar?
Well, that is really good question. I don't know if you follow tennis, but I think
yes,
the society, I don't know if this word makes sense. No, the world is changing, and that you can see on the sport. In tennis, 10 years ago, the sport was slower with not that much mistakes. They work during the points. They try to manage the rhythm of the game. And now they go for the points in 2-3 shots. I think that is happening in padel. And now the young kids, they try to go in that way. Like they try to search the winner, and they are not they don't have that mindset to try to work the points, be solid, no mistakes, manage the rhythm, the direction. They try to go, and sometimes they make mistakes, and sometimes they do winner. And the players, they get more winners than mistakes. They are going to the professional level.
Yeah. Are you adapting your game to that? Are you also trying to adapt your game to become more like that, or
that's it?
Not much.
We have to adapt, because obviously I play more all paddle system, like that, solid, no mistakes. But you have to try to do it against that kids. They're gonna go for it all the time, and you have to adapt a little bit and try to always improve stuff, improve shots, improve things that is gonna be better on the game.
When you play these types of kids, is it like just your philosophy against their philosophy, or do you have to adapt to play their philosophy too? to win?
Always you have to try to put the match in your rhythm. Always is the best. Like if I play good in slow rhythm and long points, I have to try to win that battle against them and put the match in my rhythm. But sometimes it's really tough. And if you see you are playing in Chile with really quick conditions, you have to try to see what type of paddle you have to play to make the best results. And it's not only the players you are playing against, is you have to see the conditions, if it's windy, if it's indoor, if it's hot, if it's you are playing in altitude. And that I think is the tougher thing in paddle. You always one guy of the UK paddle, like he's playing really good. Dan McNeil is his name. He asked me, Christian, you play really good. You see the matches really good. You know how to do always. What is the correct tactic in paddle? How you have to play? And I say, man, paddle is like philosophy. You can tell me question, and the answer of that question is another question. Like
Yeah.
why you play when you play high lobs depends. If you are playing against a guy has good smash, you have to play high lob or quick lob. Depends if he do the technique slow or the technique fast. If it's windy, if it's indoor, if it's outdoor, if it's so many stuff. And I think that is the thing when you are getting professional in paddle or when you play tournaments. Is really nice, this sport, because always you have to think so many things and it's really tactic.
That's awesome.
That's so interesting. Yeah, Christian, so we're interested to learn also about your training as a professional paddle athlete. Can you tell us, what does a week look like in the world of Christian's professional paddle life?
Well, depends. If you are in pre-season, you train a lot because you don't have tournaments and you rest maybe 1 or 2 days on the weekend. But my normal routine now during the season is I wake up around 7:30. I start training around 8:30. Sometimes I start with paddle sessions on court, around 2 hours, 2 hours 30. After that, I go with my personal trainer, 1 hour, 1 hour 30 on the gym. And then I go back to my flat, rest a little bit, eat, like have lunch, recovery. And on the evening, sometimes I go again to the gym 1 hour and I do like basket, more technique for another 1 hour.
And so what does the first session look like for you? That first 2.5 hour session of paddle in your day, what's that look like? Can you take us into that session?
Yeah, we are a group. We train with Victor Ruiz. I don't know if you know Victor Ruiz.
Yes, yeah, we do actually.
Yeah,
Big fans of Victor Ruiz.
yeah, he's amazing guy. We train with Victor, sometimes with Sanjo, Miki Solves. We have a really good group here, and we
That's
train.
a very good group.
Yeah, really good group. And my partner is on the group too, and we have good group to train, and we do more like situation. We try to work on the technique stuff, but on real situation. I put an example. 2 on the attack position. Imagine I come from Chile and I was not really good on the forehand, on the defense. Okay, we're gonna pressure 4 balls to the forehand of Christian, 2 against me, and then after that 4 balls, I have to try to do a lob and go to block to the net. Because I'm working on the transitions, or if I'm working on the on the bandeja. Okay, 2 on the defense. Christian is attacking. You start with the lob, and the 2 guys they are on the defense. They're gonna work on that position. To one, maybe they come to try to block, and I have to see that guy coming, change, and work in the directions and all the stuff. Like is so many type of exercise. But yeah, it's like working on little details on a dynamic in dynamic situation, like playing points, but working on what you are doing bad, and we are changing. Like sometimes Victor work for 30 minutes, after that I work for 30 minutes, after that my partner. And on the evening session is more like baskets. I want to clean. We call clean the shot when we are not feeling really good. When we don't have good feeling in the backhand volley. Okay, give me 100 backhand volley. I'm gonna feel it. I'm gonna try to clean the shot, and that is more the evening sessions.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's every day. That would be like that would be the routine every day throughout the week. That's during training, correct? There's no tournament That's when no tournament's coming up.
Yeah, that's my normal routine. But
Yeah.
the different if I come really really tired, if I have some pain in the shoulder or in the knee or whatever, maybe I don't
Yeah.
do the evening session. I only do the morning session. I do one session on the gym. I don't do two. I go to the physio to recovery. Yeah, depends.
And just one last thing, when it comes to it, when you're playing tournaments from tournament to tournament, this is for my own for my own knowledge. I'd like you to let me know. So between tournaments, how do you for fitness? Because if there's a tournament throughout the week and then maybe I don't know a few days and another tournament, what do you do from a fitness standpoint? Do you still go and you go to the gym, or is it relax the body, stretching? What's it like for you between tournament and tournament?
Yeah, normally between tournaments you have maybe 4 or 5 days. Normally, if I lose a semi-final in a FIP, I'm gonna lose on Sunday, and for the next
Yeah.
tournament, I'm gonna start on Friday. If I play Premier Padel and I lose in quali, I lose Sunday. If I go to main draw Monday or Tuesday, if you play FIP, then you have 2 or 3 days only. But
Yeah.
normally we if we have 4 or 5 days, we try to do 2 days with really good exercise, with weight, with in the fitness part. And when you have 2 days or 3 days left to the tournament, you slow down a little bit and you prepare the tournament. Obviously, it's tough because we have so many tournaments, and sometimes you
Yeah.
have to choose. Okay, this is not too much important. I'm gonna still working during the week, and I'm gonna do what I can on the weekend because the next weekend I have the major and I have to be at 100%. Sometimes you choose the important tournaments, and you know you're gonna have pain in that weekend. But yeah, it's really important. For example, in Chile, I lost with Martin and Garrido at 2 o'clock. And at 7, I was on the gym doing a squat with 120 kilos because I only have
Okay.
There we go.
I see.
4 or 5 days to the next tournament. And I know I have to do something in that evening because I have only that evening and the next day to do power exercise. And it's impossible to do all the muscles in one day.
Impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well, I know you're based in Spain, Christian, but I mean, is there a difference between how training works, for example, in the UK and Spain? I mean, you're fortunate to be in the club. You have a nice group there. In the UK, are things set up the same way, or is training then different for your fellow friends or colleagues from the UK who are training playing professionally as well?
Yeah, in Spain it's better because you have better group, and I think that is the key. Like you cannot play alone in paddle. You can do basket, but after that you have to train the real situation, as I told you before, in the dynamic stuff, because that is the tougher thing in paddle. If you train alone, when you go to the tournament, it's tough. It's tough, and that is the problem in all these new countries. They are jumping to the sport. They have to put their best players in Spain to train. Sweden at the beginning, all the players was trained here in Alicante. Now they have quite good level, and they have group of 8, 12 of proper players, and they train there in Sweden. But yeah, all the professional players, they should be in Spain minimum for some months. Maybe you cannot base here, but you have to come here 2-3 months in pre-season, and after that 1 or 2 months in summer minimum to be on the rhythm.
Yeah.
You just answered our question. We were actually going to ask you, do you think it's possible to reach to become a top level paddle player like you if you're not training in Spain? And you just answered that question for us.
Which
is tough, because that means then how is the sport going to evolve? Because not everyone around the world can go to Spain, you know? So what's the solution to that in the future? I don't know.
Yeah, obviously the solution is it's time. Like you can train playing the tournament, but you're gonna improve slower, and maybe you are not gonna be on the high level. But the kid they are about you, they're gonna use you to train, and in 15 years, that kid is gonna play good. You know, it's always take time. If you can be in Spain, you should be here to train. Not 100%.
Interesting.
Oh, makes sense.
Well, then you're talking also about how training needs to be dynamic, needs to be in teams, needs to be situational. Can you talk to us a little bit, Christian? What makes certain pairings work better than other? You know, beyond just talent. What makes certain teams better than others?
Yeah, so many things. Like you have to if you are gonna be with him for long term, you have to have good relationship with him, because if not, it's impossible. It's like a normal relationship actually. Like you spend 24 hours with him. If you have problems outside, if you are not if you don't have a good relationship with him, after that, when he play bad in the match, you're gonna say, fuck, this guy is not good. I don't want to play with him. Or your attitude on court is going to be worse than if you have a good relationship. Now I'm playing with Albertito, and we are really good friends. We understand this game. Sometimes he play bad, sometimes I play bad, but we always carry on. We always keep fighting. We always support the other, and it's really important. Like when you have bad situation, you need a partner supporting you, saying, okay, don't worry, you only focus in this. I'm gonna try to help you in that. I'm gonna cover the middle. Relax, you can do it. Come on, let's go. We are better than these guys. You know, that is important, because now in padel we are all really tight, and you're gonna have tough moments nearly in all the matches. And if you don't are in a good relationship with your partner outside and inside the court, in that difficult moments, that can make the difference.
So there's no such thing
So
as a professional relationship. It's mixed together. You can't separate the.
Yeah, it's really tough. Obviously, in my case, I train with him, and I live in Alicante, and we train together. If you don't train together, for an example, the best pair on the history of padel was Bela and Juan Martin. They was 15 years number one, and I don't remember exactly. They was training in Madrid, and Bela, in what point, like 7 years before they decide to split the ways, they say, Juan Martin, I have to go to Barcelona because I have to train with other people and see you only on court. Because if not,
An
it's
open
not,
relationship.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Because if not, we're gonna kill each other. No, but yeah, you have to, or you need to have good relationship, or minimum a normal relationship. But if you have a bad relationship with your partner outside of the court, it's not gonna work in a long term.
Makes sense.
Did you know your partner for a long time before you became partners, or like, was that, how long have you known, or did you have to work on that? So my question is, how do you work on becoming this better teammate and partner?
Yeah, we are really similar. Like we have a personality similar, and that helps. And I know him for a long time ago, before we start playing together. I know him on the wall of padel. Like I met him training here in Alicante when I moved to Alicante. And when we decide to play together, obviously we decide that because on the training sessions we play really good together, and because we have good relationship, but we want to start that project. But yeah, I met him in padel training here, and then we decide to go as a pair.
Is there active ways you're like, I need to work on this to be a better teammate, to be a better leader, partner? Are there things like you're actively working on? And how can you work on that part?
Yeah, I think you have to work on yourself to be better partner. Because if I'm playing with you and you miss a ball and you see me doing, you know what I mean? You say, this guy, I want to kill him, you know? And and you can work on, okay, what I'm doing bad, what I can improve. This, okay, I have to try to stay like this and say, don't worry, the next time. you know, it's, it's tough, but you have to work on you. And some players, they are working with psychology people to work on these things. And obviously, as a pair, you have to be good in that, and obviously in the tactic way. Like, you have to know your partner, know what he's doing always, and try to know what he's gonna do before he do, and be in the correct place on court. Like, if I know he's gonna do a chiquita and I have to go to the volley to volley, I know he's gonna do it, and I'm waiting, and boom, I go, because we know each other, and that obviously is really important too.
Nice. Well, this is something I've been wondering about for ever since I think I started watching paddle. So how do players decide, like, okay, I'm gonna team up with this person? And I guess you can't tell me how others do it, but from your perspective, when you decide, okay, I'm gonna partner up with this person, do you guys decide, for example, okay, we're gonna do this for 6 months and then reevaluate, or we plan on doing it for 1 year? How do those discussions happen?
Yeah, that is a good question. This is when you choose your partner, you have to do a balance. And the two main things is how much points he have,
Okay.
how much
Okay.
point, and what is his level. Sometimes, if I'm looking to go to Premier Padel and I want to play with Ismail, but we
Yeah.
need 800 points, and he only have 200, and I have 400,
Yeah.
I cannot play with Ismail. That 100%.
Yeah.
That is, and if I want
It's
to,
okay. I won't take it personally.
Yeah.
I won't take it personally. It's okay. I understand.
we cannot play together, because we are not gonna be in the draw, because we don't have enough points, no. And if I want to play with maybe Youssef, I say, okay, my next option is Youssef. He has 600 points. Okay, we go through the tournament, but he has so many points, but now he's not playing good. I prefer to play with Aaron,
No.
because he has 300 points. He's playing around my level, and we're not going to have too much point, but we're going to have enough points to go to the tournament. And I think he's playing better than Youssef. Like that balance, you have to see that balance normally between points and level. And adding something to that is, if you have good relationship with that guy, because obviously we know each other on the tour, because we are in the same hotels, in the same tournaments, and we always speaking, and if Youssef is nice guy, or Ismail is nice guy or not, like, you always think about that.
But you guys decide to stay, like, is there a time frame? Do you decide or you go tournament by tournament?
Yeah,
like,
no,
okay,
always is so many options. Like, I can play with you because we want to play in that tournament specific, and we say, okay, we play this one, we try, and we'll see. But if you want to do a project because you're going to share a coach, or you're going to train together, it's like, okay, we're going to play minimum 3-4 months, and we'll see. We're not going to only see in one, because in one tournament you can have bad day, and that's it. And maybe you are throwing that option, and maybe in the future that option was the correct option, that is, never know. Like, you speak, and sometimes you says, okay, we're gonna play 6 months, but if I'm forehand player, and in the month 2 Tapia call me, I say, bro,
bye.
You are a nice guy, but Tapia it's Tapia, it's tough. Sometimes you do in the correct way, sometimes you do on the bad way, because you say something, and after that you see another option better, and you change. But all the players, we know that can happen, and it's like, it's tough.
No, that makes sense. Well, then, well, I think my last question on this specific topic, because I'm very interested, because the pairings and how all these things happen. So, do you have any? Is it the same for the top players also? Like, do they sign, for example, contracts like Cuello and Tapia? We decide because we have to. You can't just throw me under the bus all of a sudden. Do they decide, for example, no, we're gonna do this for a year, for example, and we're signing contracts to keep us together, or does that not happen at all?
I don't think so. In my ranking, that
Yeah.
not happen. But maybe I hear sometimes that some brands. Imagine I don't know, Bull Paddle, and I say,
Yeah.
okay, Chingoto is from Bull Paddle and Paquito is from Bull Paddle. Okay, we're gonna put a really good contract if you play together. But if you decide to split, you're gonna lose this or that
Okay.
or that. I think sometimes happen, but I think it's
Okay.
not normal. I think it's not
Okay.
normal.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense.
Okay.
Go ahead, Doro.
Well, I want to ask you, Christian, about like paddle in the other countries internationally. Like you're somebody who's been playing paddle for a very long time, for over a decade right now, and you've been top of the top. I want to ask you about the UK. How is paddle developing in the UK?
I think now is an amazing moment. Like a few years ago was really tough situation because me as a player was showing like it's not nothing happens, like it's all completely stopped. They wasn't building clubs, they wasn't adding more players and all the stuff. But now it's crazy. Like in the last year and a half, they are building a lot of clubs. The federation now
Yeah.
is involved, is helping a lot to the players. They are a sponsor like R3, my principal sponsor, supporting a lot to the players. And now it's an amazing moment in the UK. I think in maybe 1, 2, 3 years is gonna have a lot of clubs because they are like now it's like is the moment, like it's cooking a lot of stuff now. There are a lot of people interested in jump to the market, brands, companies, clubs, and I think it's gonna be huge.
And for the players on the national team with you, do they train in Spain also, or are they some of them in the UK? How is that working? Or do you guys do camps? Is there, from the national team perspective, are you guys working there, each one on his own?
Yeah, we do camps before the big tournaments, the European and the World Championship. Normally, we do a camp of 1 week before, and now in the National Tennis Center in London, they do
Yeah.
1 day per week of the national players. Obviously, I'm
Okay.
based here.
Yeah.
I'm not trained with the players normally, but they are training a lot together, and I think that is really important. And also, so many players they was training here in Spain, like Sam Jones. They was living 5 years here in Spain in Malaga. Louis Harris, another player of the selection, was living 2 years here in Alicante with me. Nick Mohindra, the same. There are few of them. They only train in the last years all in the UK, but the good players they was living here in Spain.
Okay.
Very nice.
Okay. Well,
And
I
you've
want
seen the progress, what, like ever since, because you've seen them probably before and you've seen them after, and that so going to Spain makes a big difference from what you've seen from them.
Yeah, make big difference, but to improve in paddle you need time. Like it's not I go to Spain 1 month and I gonna become UK number one, or
Yeah.
it's take time. Like
Yeah.
you need to train 1, 2, 3 years, and then you're gonna. Where we are speaking when you are professional. Like if you are
Yeah.
professional and you have a specific level to jump to another level, you need time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, how long, like time-wise, do you think the UK would be in the same conversation as Spain, Argentina, and all those top other countries?
Well, Spain is is difficult. It's difficult. It's really difficult. Is like if you do a new brand of phones and I ask you, you think is gonna be the same as iPhone? Oof. I don't know. Like I don't know
Yeah.
if it's gonna be like Spain, but I know it's gonna be really big because in countries as UK and Sweden and all these countries, they need sport like paddle because they are social, they are indoor, and they are really funny and really easy to learn. Like tennis, to try to play a proper match of tennis, maybe you have to do lesson for 2-3 years. In paddle,
True.
in paddle, you can jump on court with three
Yeah.
friends, and you can get the racket for your first time on your life, and you're gonna enjoy it. And I
Yeah.
think that is the key, and I think it's gonna be huge in UK. I hope they can go at the same level and like Spain, Argentina, but minimum 20, 25, 30 years minimum.
Oh wow.
Then how about how
Okay.
close to reach, for example, Brazil, Portugal? I guess those we would consider tier 2. You
Uh,
think we're closer to that
uh,
sooner?
yeah, I think we can go close to that countries like Portugal, Brazil, and all these countries. But you have to see not the difference between that countries. You have to see what is happening inside that countries, because in Brazil
Yeah.
is not too much happen. I don't think the level is going to increase too much in the next year. Sorry. In
Yeah.
Portugal, they are increasing a lot. Like now
Yeah.
with Cristiano Ronaldo doing publicity of paddle, in Portugal
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah.
But that countries, they are not too much far away from us. Maybe in 5 years
Yeah.
we can fight against them if we do the stuff in the correct way. If we build good courts, if we build good coaches, if we do camps, and if we try to get proper players as soon as we can. I think in 5-7 years we can fight against nearly all the countries except Argentina and Spain.
Yeah.
Do you think that the UK has like a specific playing style, or will develop a specific playing style? We're just talking about tennis and how tennis. Russians, we tend to see more. They're better from the baseline, really solid backhands. If you think about Americans, really good on serve. They know how to attack better at the volley. Is there something like that in paddle where you can say, yeah, in general, this country does this better, and then maybe the UK will be doing this type of style better?
Yeah,
Can you see something like that?
I think not in the UK yet, because we don't have enough players, enough professional players. But you can see in the Swedish style, they play really similar, all the players, and obviously they play really good in indoor, and in outdoor maybe not that good, because obviously in Sweden you cannot train outdoor.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously that is going to happen when we have more professional players, and you can see the styles. Now you can see a lot of similar styles in all these countries: UK, Sweden, Holland, and these countries, because they are all or nearly all ex-tennis players, and they play
Yeah.
quite similar. But when you start to have paddle players in all these countries, maybe then we can start to think, oh, the philosophy in the UK is going to be this or that, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are,
Uh,
are, are, are there a lot of coaches right now in the UK for paddle? And what's the coaching scene like? Because, of course, this is part of the growth. Or are they mostly Spanish coaches moving in? What's the coaching scene like?
Yeah, I think we need to try to get Spanish coaches, because they have the experience, obviously, and now the LTA, they are doing a lot of things in that, and it's great. But we need coaches with experience, like they are beginners coaches, and how they can tell a kid how he has to play if he don't see before a professional match, or if he don't see a professional player playing. The problem is in the UK at the moment we don't have good players, and if you cannot see good players, you cannot analyze that. You know what I mean? And obviously we have coaches with experience. Sandy Ferguson has a really good background on the coach side, and now
Yeah.
it's working with the LTA, and we have few of them, but we need Spanish coaches at the beginning, or minimum Spanish coaches to coach the UK coaches.
Yes, correct. I agree. You were talking about this, Christian, and I was interested also in this specific I want to know your take on it, because you're someone who has played tennis and but you completely transitioned to paddle. You said at 14, correct?
Yeah.
That's when you made the shift. So I wouldn't say you weren't old, but you weren't young also. So as we know, paddle is growing all around the world. And as you said, for example, in the UK, most of the players are ex-tennis players. Do you think people who have been playing, who are older and they shifted from tennis to paddle, do you think there's a possibility for someone with that type of background to make it all the way to the top in paddle? Or do you need to start from a very young age?
To go to the top 8% in the world, I think is
No, not maybe not 8, but like just I would say like around your level and a bit higher. Like so let's say 100, 50, 100 and
yeah,
50, 50 to 100.
yeah.
yeah. I think the good stuff in paddle is you can learn quick to level, and then you need a lot of time to improve step by step. But I think you can go to my level more or less. Obviously, there are people with better quality or with more facilities, but I think in 10, 12 years, you can go to my level. Is the time I've been playing, more or less, 10, 12 years. And if you start with 14 and you come from tennis, you can go to my level more or less in 10, 12 years and you have 26. That makes sense, no? But
Yeah.
I think it's going to be tougher and tougher because now it's becoming more professional. And maybe the top 100 in 10 years is not the same level as me now. Maybe in 10
Yeah.
years, the top 100 is going to play like the top 30 now, you know? It's tough to know, but for sure, I think it's going to be tougher and tougher. And the professional players is going to be players that they start in young age playing paddle.
Yeah. Yeah. So the idea of someone who has been playing tennis, let's say, and then at 20 years old, they decide, okay, paddle, maybe I have no chance in tennis. Paddle looks easier, which I disagree that paddle is that much easier, especially when you reach the higher levels. So a transition like that is not possible, right?
I think with 20 years is too late. It's too late.
Yeah.
But some paddle players like get angry when they told paddle is easier than tennis, and it's one thing. Is
Yeah.
obviously the difficult on the sport is not because the sport is tougher or is easier. It's because there are less players. Like the thing in tennis is you have millions and millions and millions of kids starting playing with 3 years, and that make the difficult to try to go to top 100 or to top 10 because there are billions people nearly playing tennis when they are young. In paddle, obviously, there was a lot of tennis players changing and moving to paddle. I was tennis player, but I wasn't an amazing tennis player. I started with tennis with 9 to get fun, to train. And I wasn't trying to go to professional level. Like I wasn't fail on tennis because I wasn't trying to go to a high level. But 10, 20 years ago, there was a lot of tennis players changing to paddle because it was easier because there was less players on the wall, and that was a reality. But in the future, it's going to be different because they're going to be a lot of paddle players trying to go professional when they was young.
Okay, so Christian, last few things we wanted to talk about, and this one specifically, we said we were going to touch on it in the beginning of the conversation, but because also one of the reasons why we started this entire TSH Padel and this podcast is because Padel is so accessible. I guess everything's going on in Spanish, but in English there's not much. And the biggest thing going on was what was going on between the players and the tour and the boycott that was happening. You're someone who is part of the top players, and you're someone who can give us insight onto what was going on. So first of all, do you have any thoughts on this boycott? And if you could tell us, what are the concerns exactly? Because the information we have, we're not entirely sure it's clear.
Yeah. Well, the boycott start because the things on like the Premier Padel when start that project 3 years ago, They was telling us so many things, and at the end, year after year, they was getting a little bit less quality in all the service. I think that was important to know in the context. And after that, basically to make it simple, the players, they was asking for rule things, not for money. We were asking for rule stuff. Like, for an example, the prize money of the tour, they tell us the prize money in February when we was traveling to play the first tournament. The points of the year and the draw, or like the pairs they go into the main draw, how many pairs they go to the qualis, the same. They say, like, they told us all the info 1 week before the first tournament. And in my case, I was playing with Albertito during all the year to go into the top 67 pairs on the world to jump and play, guarantee all the P1s. And we was pair number 64, 63 at the end of the year. We work on the preseason to play all the Premier Padel circuit, and they decide in February, we're going to change the draw, and now in the P1 they're going to go through only 59. And we say, oh man, how you can change now this? Or now this year they decide to change and put 3 rounds in quali and not 2 rounds. They decide to the top 4 seed, they go 2 rounds with straight away, and that make less pairs in the main draw go through on paper. Like in the last year was 44 go straight to main draw in the major. This year was 41 because they do that double buy, and that too much things happens in bonus stuff. Like if you go quali to main draw, you have less bonus. If you lose in first round of quali, now you have 0 points. Last year was 12 points. And with all these things, we say, whoa, we have to stop this. How we can plan, how we can do our strategy of the year if we are on a situation that maybe the FIP tomorrow they change all, like, and that was, I think, the main stuff on the boycott. We want to sit down with them and say, okay, the first thing, we have to renegotiate the things, because we go to Premier Padel because the draw was like this, because in quali that you cover hotels, because you're gonna do this or that or whatever. And in second place, we want to do something to make sure you cannot change the rules today for tomorrow. Like maybe if you want to change something, you have to change now for the next year because it's more than 6 months, for an example. No? And that was the main stuff of the boycott. I think when I was looking at all the interviews with the top player, I think they wasn't explained really good, and was like, you cannot understand properly nothing. But that was the principal case. And in my opinion, I think the place has 95% of the truth. But I play Cancun because in my ranking, all the players they was playing. Like I wasn't in Gijón, and they take my place like 10 players. I wasn't play the fifth goal in Dubai, another 5 more, and I was, if I keep here in my house, I'm gonna lose maybe 30 positions, and it's not gonna be good and fair for me. And obviously the situation was like that for me, and I choose to play because I cannot lose that much positions. A lot of player they was really angry, not only with me, with a lot of players we was in Cancun. But they have to understand the situation is not the same for all. Like, I don't going to give names, but players on the top 20, on the top 30, writing me, you cannot play, you have to take out. And I say, man, you are top 30 on your ranking. Is anyone playing? You are not going to lose anything. I was playing FIP like that one in Camboriú last year to get points, and now you are telling me to sit down here and give my position to another 30 players they're going to play. What's that? was tough. And now the situation between the players is with tension. But if the players, they don't understand that a lot of players, we try to stay in the house and do the boycott in the correct way. But at some point, after that two first tournament, we cannot do more because we're going to lose our position. And if I lose my position, I am not allowed to play Premier Padel. I'm not allowed to go sit on the FIB. It's really tough. If they don't understand that, it's not my problem. That was the stuff.
So they tried to communicate to you and all the other players on tour not to play.
Yeah, but was not from the association, because the association, they cannot do that. And the association with me was really fair, saying, it's your decision. If you decide to play, it's fine. Was more the players. The players talking with the players and talking like personal, like, Chris, you cannot play. You have to stay in your house. We are fighting for this. We're fighting for that. But the problem in the top 100, anyone was playing. But in that moment, I was 116. And they was taking my place. I go straight away to 127 in the first tournament. And after that, I say, man, I have to play Cancun, because if I don't play that tournament, I'm going to go to 140, 150, and I'm not going to be allowed to play Premier Padel in all the year. Like, it's too much for me. Like, you are on the top 100.
It's a bigger sacrifice.
Yeah, that's it.
It's a bigger sacrifice for you than everyone else.
So were the top players are the ones that were kind of upset with you?
And the players, there was in the between both number 80, number 85, number 90. But the problem was any one of the top 100 was allowed to, well, not allowed, but anyone was on the tournaments. And that make it easy, because if I was number 70 and Tolito and Gonza, they're gonna take out my position, and two more is fine. 4 position is nothing. But 20, 30 is too much. And that's why I was on Cancun. And finally, at the end, Stupa, Lebron, and I was seat number 8. Like, there was a lot of players playing in front of me, of my ranking, and a lot of players playing with less ranking than me. But I was there because I tried to protect my position. And I started the boycott on 116. And I end the boycott 109. Like, I win 7 position, but it's not too much. If I decide to stop in my house, I lose maybe 20,
Yeah. Then you said there's obviously tension because it's not the same thing for number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 go up to 20. It's different for 20 to 50. It's different 50 to 70, 70 to 100, which makes complete sense. And I probably never looked at it from that perspective. So thank you for showing us that. But how did Stupa and LeBron's decision affect the players?
I think depends. You have to ask to the players that are in that fight. To the top 8 players, because they are fighting with them. But I think on the boycott, on the stuff was happening, was like, okay, now Stupa, LeBron, they are playing. Obviously, in the next one, all they're gonna play. And finally, at the end of the boycott, the FIP don't give nothing. Like, they don't change anything. They don't change nothing for us, and was a little bit upset, I think, for all the players, because after stop playing 3-4 tournaments and lose prize money, lose some players' position and all the stuff. After all that situation, we don't have anything better than we have 2 months ago.
Yeah. Well,
there's also a point mentioned about tournament organization, Christian, which I didn't understand, or that concern.
Professionalism, I think.
Yeah, and professionalism. What did they mean by that? I mean, as far as we understand from the translated document or the translated statement, because it was in Spanish.
Everything is in Spanish.
Is that an act of concern or not really?
But tell me that again, because I don't know if I understand properly.
tournament organization and professionalism. Are there issues that the players have with that?
Okay. Yeah, all the problems we have in the last year on the organization tournament. No? You mean that?
Yeah. What's meant by that is my question.
Yeah, there was problems during the tournaments. For an example, in the last year on the same tournament of Chile, I was there to play. Obviously, I was Friday, I think, train on Friday, train on Saturday, and the quali start on Sunday. And when we jump the morning of the match, I was there. I played in the first match, and I look the court, and I see something strange, and I go between the glasses, and the stuff that you put between the glasses, I don't know in English how you say.
The
In
glue?
Spanish,
The
yeah,
glue?
the glue. They was
Yeah.
completely wet. I can put my finger between the glasses, and I
Oh,
say,
wow.
"Fuck." They do this 2 days, like 1 day ago. It's not enough now to play. We cannot play, and they start to coming all the players, check the court. The grass was the same, completely sleepy, and was completely a disaster. And we decide to don't play that day, and we have to postpone
Yeah.
1 day
Yeah,
the
postpone.
tournament because they try to do all the courts only with 24 hours, and it's not enough to have the courts ready. Like stuff like that was happening the last year, and that's why was like when we start this year and they decide to change all the rules in the last month after all the year before having a lot of problems during the tournament. I think that's why we decided to stop, and that was all the problems of the organizations.
So this was a common thing throughout tournaments. There was something wrong with the organization, whether it was the courts, whether it was something. This is something that's a common theme that was going on.
Yeah, not that much, but was was things like that. Things like play in Mexico with 99% of humidity, with 37 degrees, having the first match at 11, and you say, man, why you don't put the first match at 9? You have 2 or 3 hours on the middle of the day with no matches, and you make sure we're gonna be fine. Stuff like on the middle of the season they decides to don't cover the hotels to quali, when on the contract they told all the qualis is going to be covered by the organizations, and was a lot of problems, not that much like the one in Chile, but was little and little and little and little. And at the beginning of this year was all this changing system of points, rules,
Yeah.
draw, and was, man, we cannot stay like this, because if not, in 2 years they're gonna do whatever they want.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. But you said we do know since Santiago they no more double buys for the top 4 seeds.
Yeah,
Correct. So that was fixed, but they've changed nothing else.
nothing more. Like
Yeah.
to the FIP, they are really clever, obviously, and they know they boycott. If I do the boycott, they don't care.
Yeah.
The problem is if the top 8 pairs they don't play. That is the main problem, no? And they find the perfect space to do one little change, and the only stuff was good for the top players was the double bye, because they have to they go to the tournaments 1 day after and they play less matches. But the problem of the top players, they was fighting for another things, the average, the quality, and all other things. And they say, okay, if the pairs of quality they are fighting for this, and the top 8 they are fighting for that, we're gonna do the only change. They gonna, I don't know if this expression is not really good, but a piece of the top 8, like they're gonna take out that privilege, and the other privilege for the qualis was, now we're gonna have open draw, like we're gonna go again from 59 pairs to 67. And I say, okay, they take out the double die, it's fine for the quali pairs, but it's really bad for the top 8 pairs. And what they think, no, we cannot do that. And they change now, and on the first round of quali, they change the rule, and now it's 0 point. And that is like, okay, you are putting more pairs, but all the pairs they lose in first round of quali now is 0 point. It's like they do the only thing to try to take out this for the top 8 and take out the points of the first round of quali for the pairs of quali. Like they was clever in that movement because for the social media, for the interviews and all the stuff, they say no, we change again the draw and we take out the double dice. But finally, that was the same as nothing because they put the same draw as the last year, but they give the points of this year, and that for us is the same.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, thanks, Christian. You really clarified that for us because we were really lost on the details of the whole case. So that helps us understand it a bit more.
One last question. So, just Christian, if you can let us know. So, right now, from my understanding, it's very tense. The next P2, obviously, we have the major and the Qatar major, and then after that, there's the Brussels P2.
Yeah.
Is the plan to go for most players, or is the plan? What do you know? What the plan is from the players around you? You obviously, and the players around you.
Yeah, basically with. Like I told you, the rule of 0 points of quali, sometimes we have to choose a FIP in front of a major. In this case, I'm going to play the FIP tournament in Bristol in the UK, and I'm not going to play in the major, and I have enough ranking to go into into that tournament, but it's not going to be enough points for me, and I prefer to fight in the FIP because I'm going to have more chance to get more points. And in my ranking is that we have to choose now in between FIP and Premier Padel tournaments, and I think that is what the FIP is looking for, to try to sell more tournaments, because now my ranking they have to, or they should play that tournaments, and they can say to the clubs, do this tournament because the 80 is playing FIP. You're gonna have good players. With this system, I don't know if I'm explaining good, no, but in this system,
we understand.
With this system, all the quali pairs now they think maybe for the ranking is better option to play FIP, and that makes more important that tournaments, and they can sell more tournaments for the federation and earn more money in that way. And I don't going to play in the major. I think I don't going to play in the P2 of Brussels. I'm gonna play FIP. But yeah, you're gonna select some Premier Padel and some FIP, depends. Obviously, if you are main draw, that means top 80 more or less. You normally gonna decide to play Premier Padel always.
Okay.
So they're going to the P2s. Do you think all the top guys will be heading for the P2?
I think nearly all is gonna be there. Obviously, the P2 is the lower tournament in Premier Padel, and they only have to play 50% of the tournament, but after they don't play Gijón and Cancun, they're gonna be there. I think nearly all.
Well, at the moment, you have from the top guys. I think you have Stupa, LeBron, Koki, Mike Yangos, and I think also Barahona. So it looks like they're signing up for the tournament.
Yeah, they're gonna sign up. Maybe some of them they're gonna rest, but I think nearly all they're gonna be there.
Okay.
Interesting to know. All right, Christian. Well, would like to maybe wrap up with one more segment here, which is we'll do a quick fire segment. All right. So I'll give you some short questions.
Okay.
And you tell me, you answer with the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay. It's tougher to me because English is not my first language, but
no, you've been doing great. You've been doing great.
You're doing awesome, man.
I don't think we're worried about that.
Okay. I try my best.
Yeah. All right. So, number one, who do you think is the most underrated player on tour right now?
I think Edu Alonso.
Nice.
Oh,
good one.
Nice.
One young player who you think will break into the top 10 soon?
Top 10 in pairs or in ranking? Individual ranking?
Either. Individual ranking.
I think Augsburger is going to be in the top now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And all on that, who has the best smash, Christian?
Augsburger. After me, obviously.
I love the confidence.
Right.
Love it.
Who has the best bandeja, if that's a shot that's still alive?
Stanjo.
Sanyo. Best Vibora.
Well, best bandeja, Galán, best víbora, Sanyo. Sorry.
Sanyo. Yeah, okay. What about the best volleys?
Forehand volley, Galán. Backhand volley, Juan Martín Díaz, when he was on the tour.
Amazing. What about now? Who has the best backhand volley now?
Backhand volley now. I think Galán. I think, yeah, Galán.
Really? And who has the best lobs?
When he was on the tour, Vela, obviously, and now I think Chingoto.
Chingoto. And who has the best chiquitas?
I think the best chiquita, Coello.
Koyo. And who has the best disguised shots? You can't tell what he's gonna do.
Magic Tapia, obviously. I think yeah.
Yes. And who has the best defense from the back?
I think Chingoto.
Chingoto. What about defense from the net?
Good one. Coello, I think.
Koyo. And who do you think is the most mentally tough player?
Tapia.
Tapia. Who do you think is the most tactically smart?
Chingoto. They are always the same. They are the best.
Well, if it's the right, answer, it's the right answer.
That's nice.
Well, these are very interesting answers.
All right, and what's your favorite match you've ever watched?
I think LeBron Galán against Tapia and Chingoto in the World Championship was fine because was mixed pairs, and I think.
Yes.
And another one. This one is not really famous, but when Juan Martín and Vela they decide to split, they play each other in the World Championship in the final. Vela was with Sanyo and Juan Martín Díaz was with Paquito, and they was Juan Martín and Paquito 5-2 up in the third set, and was 40-15, I think, up with too much points, and finally Vela won that match. Argentina won that championship, and was the only chance of Juan Martín to beat Vela after they decided to split in one match. After that, they lose all the matches.
Wow.
Do you remember which year this was? I want to go watch that.
I don't remember the year, but I know it was in Portugal. The World Championship in Portugal.
Amazing. Amazing. That might be 2016. Maybe 2016.
Yeah, 16, 17, yeah, something like that, yeah.
Okay. All right. Who's your favorite paddle player of all time?
Vela, yeah.
You like Vela.
Yeah.
How about who's your favorite to watch nowadays?
LeBron.
LeBron. Very nice. What do you think is the hardest paddle skill to master?
The smash.
The smash.
Of normal shots. Like no dormilona and these things, no. Smash.
Yeah. All right. Last question. What's one thing you wish more paddle fans understood about the game?
The tactic things. Like I think it's really interesting to see what is happening in the professional matches more than big smash, big dormilona, and big recovery out of the court.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for that, Christian.
Yeah,
that was very nice.
Very nice answers. By the way, very similar to, we just had an interview also, and your answers to the questions were very similar to the Vivora. Like there's so many like identical answers.
Yeah.
I guess, well, it'd be nice to see how everyone answers those questions. Last thing, Christian, before we go, you're someone who's been able to become a professional paddle player, which I think for many people is a big achievement. And lots of young players want to be in your place. What advice would you have to aspiring paddle players coming up?
A good advice. I was speaking with two young guys of UK the other day, and a really, really good advice, because I can say you the same as you can see in Instagram, no? Like always keep going, try to always do what you want, fight for your dreams and all these kind of things. But in paddle, it's not what you do, it's more how you do. You can spend so many time on court, when you are professional. But if you are not focusing what you are doing, you're not going to have big change in your games. I think it's really important when you are on court training in paddle to be focused and try to improve the little details, because that little details make the difference.
That's awesome.
Very nice.
That's awesome. And last thing, if you can just let, if people want to follow your career, see how everything's going, where's the best place to find you?
The best in Instagram, obviously, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Is my name MM55.
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, this has been a really fun interview, Christian. Thank you so much.
Thank you for giving us the time.
Thank you for so much for the time.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed talking to you, and we can't wait to see the progress you keep on making. And we're big fans, so we're gonna be rooting for you, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna be supporting you.
Yeah, thanks.
And we hope we can do this again as well.
Yeah, 100%. For me, it was a pleasure. It was really interested to speak with all of you guys, and thanks for the invitation. And I hope we can do in the future another one.
Yes.
Yeah,
awesome.
definitely. And we'll be in your comments supporting you, rooting for you as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, for sure. Good luck. And also good luck to everything with the UK national team. Hopefully you guys achieve some nice results in the coming European Championship and hopefully World Cup.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Christian.
Thanks.
Guys, thank you. That wraps up another episode of the Paddle Pulse podcast. You saw it here. Let us know what you think about the conversation, our takes, our questions, and Christian's thoughts. And follow and subscribe so you can get all your weekly paddle content here. And we'll see you next time.
Vamos, vamos, vamos!